me was really helped boost that drive to want to deep dive into something, just go full blast as opposed to letting the first roadblock be like, well, this isn't going to happen, or discourage you from what you're trying to do, which is solve a problem at hand. Because prior to my initial role, I had only had, I think, 1 year of analytics, and that was in the online marketing capacity. So they didn't hire me based on necessarily my ability to use any particular tool. And they said as much after the interview that there were a lot more people that were quote unquote technically qualified that could probably implement and use these tools a lot better than I can. But what I brought to the table to managers was number one, that ability to just go into something, dive into it, drive, be curious about it, and really just push through and deep dive.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, appreciate it, and thank you for elaborating on the questions that they asked. I would like to now just to turn to the audience, and perhaps you might have some questions that you would like to ask to our panelists today. Please feel free to raise your hand, and let's start with you.
So have any of you, did any of you had internships in data analysis before reaching your position?
I did not have an internship in data analytics. It's something that I kind of fell into through the work experiences that I had. I was working for Safeway in their marketing department prior to Genentech. And I worked closely with the analysts on my team where they were actually creating pricing schemas for different products. And so that started getting my interest going in analytics rather than an internship.
So, what books would you recommend we use if you want to learn to you want to do to answer interview questions for the job? Or is there some technical books that we can use that will increase your chance of getting the job, that teaches you the technical skills and concepts?
So besides the textbooks that you are taking, do you have any other suggestions on good reading that might perhaps help, just to find a job and in fact
understand the concepts.
Understand the concepts and so forth of analytics.
Like the fastest way.
I am constantly bringing my textbooks to the works. That would be my answer.
All right. Any other questions, folks? Anything else that you would like to learn about your particular, particular jobs and how the jobs are going and what specific, tools, skills we need to have? Yes. Please.
So, about the forecasting that you talked about, how do you use the past data to forecast something in Genentech, especially? Let's say we're talking about, talk about disease, how to use that to forecast something that's going to have a breakout or spread out, and then to produce that kind of antivirals to accommodate and target that.
Good question. It's kind of a loaded answer as well. So the historical data that I can pull, the way the trials are run at Genentech, is indication specific. So we're looking at breast cancer or ovarian cancer or lung cancer specifically. And then we're also pulling in the different countries that the trials were performed in. So pulling all of that together allows me to see how an individual country or a certain patient population performed, how they enrolled, how many patients they had available, and how many patients they were able to enroll in the trial. And using that, it's kind of projecting that based on the current study design, maybe we'll see a 50% of that enrollment rate. So there's a lot of, I provide all of the historical data, but then there's a lot of discussion with study teams as well, saying that, the prevalence of our patients are, probably 25% of the overall patient type. So what would a 25% enrollment rate look like? So there's a lot that goes into it, but mostly it's, you know, I'm pulling historical data and then making the tweaks based on what the study team wants to see.
So a lot of probabilities and current factors together.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So what are the metrics or goals against which a person's performance is evaluated after getting hired?
Deadlines.
Yeah. It's you know, a lot of things, a lot of metrics, and these are already defined for you beforehand, right? So it does not have to be specific to what we call data scientist, right? It's for pretty much everyone the same. But a little bit, you know, we talk about, I have a data scientist team, let's say, then I'll be talking about, you know, performance in terms of how these projects are going on, right? Outcome of these projects are making happy the stakeholders or not, right? How long they took to do the whole thing from end to end. Each person is taking everything in charge himself or herself, or she or he needs some help from outside. So that means is he ready to become a senior person, or he still has to be stable at some level. So those are the things we look around when you see to promote the person, or get the raise, proper raise the person, or keep the same level all the time.
All right. Very good.
So I'm actually interested in marketing analytics, and so my question is, basically Python is of course very important, but like you also mentioned, and you also mentioned like VBAs, macros, Excel, that's what you're actually using at work. So I mean, is there like a specific skill set, especially for marketing analytics, that you're kind of focusing on when looking at candidates? And are you also looking at people in your team to have more of a consumer understanding as opposed to really like knowing the technical stuff?
So specific marketing, set of skills for marketing analytics position, that's basically what the question was. Or it's just generic for, you know, for analytics in the field, right? So you need to have.
Well, I guess just really understanding what marketing is. I come from, my undergraduate was in marketing and advertising management, so to combine that with analytics and to get into marketing analytics was just kind of a, I guess, natural flow for me, but really you have to just understand what marketing is in itself. It's not really just throwing out a bunch of direct mail pieces or email blast. It's really trying, it's the psychology of trying to get a trigger on somebody to take a certain course of action. What's your stimulus you're providing them to get a desired action result? So, I guess, yeah, number one, understanding marketing, what you're trying to do. Also, now within my role, the company is really big into what are we getting out of it. So our roaming, what are we getting out of all of the marketing efforts? I'm not sure if that answers your question.
I actually would like to comment on that question, which is really a very good question. We recently had an advisory board meeting with, again, business leaders in analytics from the area. We have a very good advisory board, by the way. One of the previous panelists, Ayel, she is our member of the advisory board. Dilip is also a member of the advisory board. Dilip is, in fact, one of the professional founders of our program. He was very instrumental for us to understand the importance of big data analytics, and that was like around 5 years ago. If you remember, Dr. Wu, the meeting that we had, and then just all the way through, folks, he basically was one of the external reviewers of our first MSBA program, and continue, of course, with the help and so forth. But the question I would like to address, I was talking to one of our board members. He is a director of services and analytics at Kaiser Permanente, Mr. Fong. And he was telling me that for him, it's not necessarily that important that the person that he hires knows healthcare. What is important in analytics is the set of skills and knowledge related to the analytics field. So ability, again, as was discussed, to tackle the problem, to identify the way to solve it, and then to utilize certain quantitative and analytics tools to manage it. So it's not as important kind of the functional area as opposed to general set of skills and general just knowledge in the field for the job perspectives. And that's a very important point that he in fact addressed. And I think that was the similar notion from the field. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I would like to take one more question, please.
Thank you. So this is a question for Meagan. So you said you had like 7 to 10 interviews for your Genentech job. Could you speak more to it in the sense that how many were like technical, how many were managerial? And for like the technical interviews, if you could also give us a sense of like the most like difficult problem that they ask. Like, you don't have to obviously tell the solution, but just so that we can get an idea of like what's the level of difficulty that we can expect in the interviews.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of jump back through history into my work experience because my most recent round of interviews were a little strange just because I had already been working at Genentech, that everyone that had interviewed me either was a stakeholder or was my manager, so they knew my work. So they weren't asking me really, really technical questions for this round, because they already knew how I performed. They knew what I'm capable of. They asked me, questions about this program, what I was doing, why I was doing it. I think the hardest question that I got asked on that round was, why should we pick you? Knowing that I was going against 2 of my coworkers, there were 3 of us working together that were going for this position, and my manager said, why should I pick you? That was probably the most terrifying question I've ever been asked. For technical interviews, though, I've gone through several different technical interviews. I've had to do Excel tests where I'm given a data set and a set of questions and told to analyze it and answer the questions. So for that, it was really just knowing my skills and figuring, and what I realized is what they were looking for was not a correct answer. They were looking for how I approach a problem. And so for that, it was, reading the problem, looking at the data set, and then what is my approach? That's what they wanted, because they were actually watching me take the test. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying to do that, by the way. Don't recommend it. But what they wanted to see was, they wanted to see how I was approaching this problem. They weren't expecting me to actually answer the questions. They wanted to know what I was doing and why I was doing it. Let's see, other technical interviews that I've done. A lot of the interviews that I've done have been kind of reliant on me explaining past work experience, so previous projects that I've worked on, and what was the process, what was the outcome, and that's kind of the steps of an interview is describe what it is, what the problem is, explain your steps, explain your outcome, and then describe why it was important. Why did it matter? Why did you do this project? So for me, I always do a lot of prep before interviews, like weeks and weeks, hours worth of prep before interviews. And I go through mock interviews. I have my dad and my sister interview me beforehand because I know that they're not going to go easy on me. They're going to ask tough questions and expect an answer. But for me, it's actually writing out those stories, physically writing them out. What's the story? How did I approach it? What was the outcome? And then the most important thing is why was it important? Why did I spend time on this?
When they when you were walking them, like you said, they could stop you and ask you, right, to explain what you're doing to see your action. Can you can they just stop you on the dime and ask you why you're doing it, or can you say can I go through all the answers and then I'll collect my thoughts and then walk you through the whole thing?
Interviewers always have the prerogative to stop you mid-sentence. Always be prepared for it. But many, most interviewers know what it's like to be in the hot seat, so to speak. They know what it's like to go through an interview. And I don't think it's inappropriate if you're asked a question to say, can I take a second and gather my thoughts? And you can pause 10, 15 seconds and just get your thoughts together and then respond. That's completely appropriate to do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks, for your excellent questions, and I would like to highly appreciate your participation in the panel today. I really enjoyed, just your answers and your insights on the real job work in, data business analytics, and I hope that you will continue supporting our program and our analytics club with more visits. And again, I would like to highly appreciate this just event today from the perspective of the Analytics Club. Really, really excellent thing from what I can see. And then, of course, the advisors. I don't see them here, but they are certainly invisibly present. Dr. Woos, for their just incredible participation and achievement. And on behalf of the Analytics Club and Cal State East Bay Business School, I would like to present this small token of appreciation for your coming today and for your participation. Thank you very much. And I hope that you will stay for a little while, so maybe some of the students can approach you with their specific questions, if you can just, mingle. Thank you very much. And then we have some final, folks, comments and thoughts here on the event.
Yes, so really excited, and thank you so much for all of the sharing from our panelists. And don't go home yet, because we still have a lot of more fun now. So I would like to introduce you to our closing keynote speaker, Meagan Devine. So Meagan Devine has been involved in our program. She's one of the first batch of graduates from MSBA program, and now she's keep moving on her career with Genentech as a Senior Data Analyst with the Predictive Analytics group, and now she's gonna give us some final thought on the event, and hopefully you're gonna take the chance to learn more from her.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm nervous enough about being up here. I was informed that you had Tim speak to you this morning, so I've got some large shoes to fill because I know Tim and he's wonderful. I guess first, thank you all for having me at Analytics Club. Dr. Zanovi, thank you for moderating. Wonderful job. I really love that I was able to come back and that I was invited back, more importantly, to come and speak with you all, because it was just, this program was hugely transformational for me, and I think it's amazing that you all are going through this as well, that you decided to take this step. I do have some notes with me, so bear with me a second here, because I want to make sure I spoke about a few things. And I was informed a week ago that I was doing this. So bear with me here for a bit. As Shai mentioned, I was one of the first students accepted into the MSBA program. I went through the interview process in, I think, December and January of 2015. Right around the same time, actually, that I was interviewing for the first position at Genentech, so I was out sick a lot from work for lots of interviews. But I was one of the first students in the MSBA program. I started in September of 2015 and graduated just this past June. So, 2 years of a lot of hard work, a lot of classes, a lot of sleepless nights and blood, sweat, and tears. Mostly tears. But, I've grown so much in the past 2 years, and I contribute at least 90% of it to this program, that I was able to really stretch my bounds and learn more about myself and more about those around me even, that, I really learned that this is the field that I want to be in, and going back for a master's degree was something that was necessary and important and valuable to me. And if you knew me right after I finished my undergrad, you would have heard me saying, I'm never going back to school, I'm never going back to school, I'm never going back to school, done. 2 years later, I'm in a master's program. Who knew? But this program was the first of its kind. There were similar programs in IT departments at schools such as Stanford and Santa Clara, San Jose State University, but nothing that was business analytics and nothing offered through the business department. It was all through information technology. So the fact that this program has grown so much in such a short period of time, I think Dr. Wu was saying we were about 35 students in that first class, and we're now at 150, I think. That's a huge, huge growth just in 2 years. And the fact that it's the first of its kind, I think, proves how successful the program has been here at East Bay in its implementation. And I would contribute that a lot to both the students and to Dr. Wu and Dr. Wu, because they put so much of their hard work and dedication into this program to make it as robust as they could for all of us. There's always ups and downs in any program. There's classes that you maybe would rather not sit through, and classes where you're trying to just figure out what is going on in the class. I had plenty of both of those. But they make us stronger, right? These are life experiences. They give us stories to tell later, and stories are really how you communicate with people. So embrace all those experiences and just enjoy every second. I think the biggest thing that I want to kind of impart today is the importance of data. It's everywhere, and all companies are doing something with data. I mentioned Genentech, Wells Fargo, SAP, but even companies like Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, national labs like Lawrence Livermore and Sandia all have a need for data analysts and data scientists because they have data and they're trying to figure out what on earth are all these numbers? What does it tell us? And they need people like us that know what it tells us, that we can impart, oh, here's what it is. This is what it's telling you. So you guys, we're boundless right now. We have every opportunity available at our fingertips, and I think we're so lucky to be in that position. I know I've been able to have this wonderful job at Genentech and working with study teams that are working on cancer immunotherapy drugs that are new in their fields and never been tested, they've never been created even. But with help, they're able to understand how quickly we can get those medications to patients that need them. And knowing that drives me every day, that I go to work and I'm touching patients' lives. I know that people are in a better place because of the work that I can do in the background. And it may be, 5, 10 years before, the molecules that I'm working on currently reach those patients in market. But I know that it's there. I know that impact is being made. And I can't wait to see what all of you choose to do with this future because, like I said, it's boundless. We have every opportunity, and I'm so excited to see it.
Thank you, Megan, very much. So I guess we're moving to the last 5 minutes of our event. So I'm Ali, I'm VP of Academics. So I just want to say final thank you to, first of all, our panelists, taking time from work, from their busy lives to come and do that. Thank you, Professor Zinovi, Professor Wu, for serving as the moderators and for continuous support of our club. So it's very important. Thank you, volunteers who came today very early, help us do this event. Just remember, you weren't being noticed, you weren't being appreciated. So right now I want to invite all the officers and associates of Analytics Club and also Aaron from Startup MSBA. Please come here so people can see you. So all officers and associates. As we move into the end of the academic term, so this is our last event this quarter, and it's been such a great big event. This is a big team who contributed not only to this event but the whole club operation. Guys know that we have open election now, so you guys should apply if you want to join our team, create such a great events as this. And what should I say? I think that's it. Thank you again for coming in. I hope you enjoyed it. Please send us your feedback to our email, any concerns, any questions that you have. And if some of you are not members yet, please join us on Basing. That's the last thing. Okay, there's some code there.
So just one last note. So I would like to say yes, thank you again for being here today. And like we hear from Meagan sharing that we are taking a very important program, MSBA program, that there's many opportunity for your future career right now in data analytic fields. And please keep following up with our panelists. This is a good chance for you to learn more from them. And hope you enjoyed the full event. And we hope you can learn something useful and valuable from today's event. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yes, don't forget to return the name tag for our team just for recording your participation. Thank you.